Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome to another episode of Ranking Doctor Who. Now, I often get requests, both in the usual comments and also on Patreon, for me to talk about the Cybermen, because obviously over the years we have had a variety of different Cybermen, different designs, different story types and whatnot. So in this video today, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be ranking the Cybermen designs from worst to best. Now I must specify as well, I'm not going to be talking about every single variant of the Cybermen. I'm not going to be talking about stuff in the comics or the audio stuff. I'm not going to separate different Cybermen if they look more or less the same. So an example would be Earthshock Cybermen and Attack of the Cybermen. They look pretty much the same. There's a few little tweaks here and there, like I think they're wearing different boots and whatnot, but that's not a major enough difference for me to rank them separately because they're essentially the same thing. Also, as usual, this is just my personal preference, so if you happen to disagree, it doesn't change your opinion. Why would it? So without further ado, let's get ranking those Cybermen. I always worry I'm going to slip up every single time with that. It's harder to say than you might think, especially when there's the pressure of actually recording it and putting it out there on the internet. So there's got to be a last place. And for me, this was actually a fairly easy choice. Any of the new series Cybermen. It might sound lazy to you guys that I'm literally just putting every single new series design of the Cybermen here, but I don't like any of them. Like, they literally could be in any order. Either way, they would make up the bottom of the list. When I say new series as well, I'm specifically talking about the original design Cybermen. So the ones from Nightmare in Silver, the Cybermen, etc. I'm not talking about the Mondasian Cybermen that were in World Enough and Time, because I'm going to count them with the Mondasian Cybermen, even though the modern ones do look a bit better. But anyway, going back to the point, like, all of the Cybermen in the modern era, they all share the exact same problem, and I dislike them all for pretty much the same reasons. They're all way too robotic. The problem is with the modern era of Doctor Who is the Cybermen don't feel like they are humans who have been changed into these horrible, awful cyborg things. They come across as just generic robot villains. And hey, look, if you want to do that, then do that. You have every right as a writer of Doctor Who to write the Cybermen however you want, but for me personally, I don't think that they're robots. I like seeing a bit of humanity in the Cybermen, and when they're stomping around and you hear these mechanical noises, they don't feel like they had humans in there. Now admittedly, their first appearance in 2006, Rise of the Cybermen Age of Steel, they were portrayed fantastically. The design itself though, they're just tin men. That's all they are. Nightmare in Silver, they made it worse. They're even more generic robots. Like, they're taking bits off themselves and they're running at super speed like the Flash, and they can fly. I understand that Cybermen are all about upgrading and technology and getting better and better, but there's still humans inside them. Why can you take your hand off? Why can you take your head off? It shouldn't be like that, unless you're a generic robot. Now, as you guys know, I haven't been keeping up with the new series, because after Series 11, I just didn't want to watch anymore. However, I have seen the design for Series 12. And even then, yes, they do have a bit of an Earthshock vibe about them in the helmet. The body is still essentially the same as the other ones. And I just don't like it. So yeah, take your pick. Whether it's the Jodie Whittaker ones, the David Tennant ones, whether it's the Nightmare in Silver ones, it doesn't make a difference. All of these Cybermen to me are shit. Next up then, we are going to be talking about Revenge of the Cybermen, because, ooh. Now the problem that I have with Revenge of the Cybermen is, upon initial glance, like just looking at them, they don't look that bad. The problem is, however, it's when they start moving and doing stuff, that's when they start to look proper shit. It clearly looks like the suits themselves are too tight for the actors and they're struggling to move. Like, at one point the Cyber Leader is borderline waddling. The helmet design itself is decent, I think. I actually quite like it a lot. It's got that really nice blank expression, and I also like the fact that for the first time we have a Cyber Leader. So obviously the handlebars are painted black in that story, and that would be a trend that would carry on ever since. So there's elements of these Cybermen that I do like, but like I say, the body itself looks fine. Like, the way that these Cybermen move and the constrictiveness and everything about them, they just look odd. They don't look quite right, and they don't look comfortable for inside. Their voices as well are terrible. It's clearly just somebody talking through the mask, which, hey, if you want to do that, it perfectly works fine later on. But when you're just talking and the voice acting isn't the best, then they also sound shit as well. Revenge of the Cybermen, decent at best. But these Cybermen are really lackluster. They are my least favourite from the classic era, without a doubt. Now, I could have easily put these next ones in the same place as Revenge of the Cybermen. However, there's one thing that just about saves them, but I can't put them that high at all, and that's the Silver Nemesis Cybermen. Now, you might be thinking, but Wingy, you love the Earthshock Cybermen, the 80s Cybermen, like they're your favourite. You've even got a cyber helmet of one of them. And that is correct, but I don't like when they are chromed to fuck. It's like someone took the Cybermen and put them on Pimp My Ride. It just doesn't work. I mean, the actual suit itself is quite nice to look at, but it's just that shiny, mirrored almost helmet and chest piece that they've got that makes them look ridiculous. They don't seem threatening. They don't seem intimidating. They just seem over the top. The actual design is, yes, very similar to the Earthshock Attack of the Cybermen variant, but why they decided to bling them up, it makes no sense. I really like the guns on these Cybermen though, I must admit. So next I'm going to be talking about the Wheel in Space Cybermen. Now these Cybermen are okay. That's all I can say about these ones. Now for me, they are a nice sort of hybrid between Tomb of the Cybermen and the Invasion. They're like a gap in between the two. So I guess from a narrative standpoint, these make sense. But the problem is, they don't feel right. I don't really like that suit with the tomb head, if that makes sense. It just looks off. It doesn't look right. The Invasion Cybermen look great. The helmet suits that bodysuit. Same with the Tomb Cybermen, like their helmet and suit, they just go together. This feels like a weird mishmash of the two. I mean, I quite like the actual face of it, where it's got like a tear underneath the lip and obviously with the eyes as well. I think that's okay. They're a decent enough design. I don't think the story's that great either, to be honest. It's alright. But yeah, these are not Cybermen that I think we'll ever see action figures of, let's put it that way. So from this point on, I pretty much like all of the designs. So next, I'm going to go with the Invasion Cybermen. Now, I love these designs. I really, really do. The Invasion is one of my favourite stories ever. The only reason why I'm not going to put this higher is because whilst I do like the helmet, I think the helmet design is beautiful. It is one of my favourite. The bodysuit, I'm not massively in love with. I do like it, but what it is what it is. It is essentially a scuba diving outfit that they've spray painted silver, as well as Timberlands that they've spray painted silver, which isn't necessarily bad, but when you notice that, it is a bit awkward. I love the chest unit on these Cybermen though, and I love these Cybermen for the iconic imagery that comes with them, which is obviously walking through the sewers and climbing out and walking in front of St. Paul's Cathedral. I love their guns. I love just the story that they're in, really. It's such a fantastic story, but I think the design just isn't the best. It's not the worst and it's not the best, but it's like a solid 7. Next, sticking with the 60s and Patrick Troughton, we are going to be talking about the Moonbase and Tomb of the Cybermen. Now these ones I think are brilliant. The only gripe that I have, and it's not even an aesthetic design really, it's the voice. I like the voice of these Cybermen. The problem is, I can't really understand them. They've got that Bane syndrome from The Dark Knight Rises. But again, we're talking about the designs of the Cybermen themselves. I love these. The helmet is cold. It's lifeless. It's emotionless. The body is well done. Like, I love the sort of mini golf balls that are, and the tubing all along them. I think that's brilliant. I love the boots. I love the fact that they have 3 fingers as well. Stuff like that. Simple little designs is awesome. Plus the Moonbase, Tomb of the Cybermen, they are both incredible stories as well. When you compare them to the original Cybermen, these lot are definitely like an upgrade of them. Obviously, Tomb of the Cybermen introduces us to the Cyber Controller, which again is another great addition to Cyberman lore. I love the big brain above his head. I wish he did have a chest unit as well. It is kind of weird that it is just flat, but it is what it is. These Cybermen I think are awesome. They're chilling, they're scary, they're intimidating. Their design is cold in a good way. Yes, they might be somewhat robotic, but not to the same extent as the modern era Cybermen. So for me, these are easily my 3rd favourite. In 2nd place then, getting the silver medal, ironically, is going to be the original Cybermen from the 10th Planet. Now these Cybermen, and the reason why these are here is plain and simply for the horror factor. Now obviously back in 1966, they didn't look amazing. When they remade them in World Enough and Time and Doctor Falls, they were a bit more polished. They lost a little bit of that horror aspect and a bit of, you know, the skew-whiff elements of them, which I think actually made them better. But the point is, these Cybermen are so creepy because you can see the human elements in them. The fact that you can feel that there's a decaying skull behind that mask, the fact that you can see the physical human hands, the fact that these Cybermen literally just go to talk, that's horrifying. The 10th Planet is obviously an amazing story and is a big part of Doctor Who lore because it is the first regeneration story. But those Cybermen are chilling, and it's such a shame that we never really saw them again. I mean, obviously we did in World Enough in Time, but in the classic era, I think there's a lot more that they could have done with them. Maybe they felt they were too scary, I don't know. But I love how just clumsily assembled they are. And I know that at the time, that was probably the best that they could do. They were just sort of throwing stuff together. But with hindsight, it's actually genius. The fact that they have got these oversized lamps and chest units, the fact that they do look a bit rushed, that adds to the creepiness about them. Out of all the Cybermen, these would be the ones I would least like to meet in real life because they are hideous. And then of course it's number 1, which is the 80s Cybermen. Earthshock, Attack of the Cybermen, 5 Doctors. A lot of people don't like these Cybermen, particularly people that I know, who, if they're watching this, you're wrong. But I love these Cybermen because these are the first ones that I ever saw. I absolutely adore Earthshock and I love Attack of the Cybermen. There's something about this design that for me is a nice blend of robotic, but also there's a bit of humanity in there. I love the fact, I don't know if it carries on into Attack of the Cybermen, but I know in Earthshock that they have a clear mouthpiece and they spray painted the mouth of the actor inside silver, so you can see something inside it physically talking. That for me is quite creepy. I just love the fighter pilot suit and I love the guns and the noise of the guns. I love the music. March of the Cybermen is one of my favourite ever Doctor Who scores. I know a lot of people don't like the voice because it's too emotional, and I get that, I understand that argument, and I can't really defend it when it comes to the Cybermen because they shouldn't be emotional, they shouldn't have this feeling of pride and arrogance in their voice, and I get that, but there's something about those Cybermen that I absolutely adore. I mean, as someone who actually has, I don't have Clive with me unfortunately right now, but as someone who does actually have one of these Earthshock Cybermen heads, I know how heavy they are, and they feel heavy, they feel like they are made of metal, they feel powerful. Earthshock should have been called Power of the Cybermen, because that is how they feel throughout that entire story. They're ripping through this ship. They feel like this unstoppable army. Just the design of the face as well. Like, I like the sort of arch midway through, like between the eyes and the mouth. There's like an arch in the mouth, and I don't know why, but I just love that. That's so aesthetically pleasing for me. I think the handlebar design, like on the side and the top, I think that's some of the nicest helmet design that we've ever had. And yeah, the chest unit, just everything about them. I adore them. These are the Cybermen that I will defend to no end, even though I know they are a bit rubbish. In the comments below though guys, let me know what you think. What are some of your favourite Cybermen designs? Which are your least favourite, your favourite, whatever it is, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description, as always. So if you'd follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.